We're back in the seat, and for the first time in at least I'd say 7 or 8 months, I finally get to bring you a video on an official signing at Wrexham Football Club. Not so fast in today's video because I've got some massive news for you, and it's been made possible by you guys at home. For the first time in the channel's history, for the upcoming 26-27 season, we have got an official partner, and it's that of Holy Energy, and the name of the company really does just speak for itself, and let me tell you why. Holy Energy is an 100% sugar-free alternative to these big brands that pack their drinks full of sugar. You're looking at Coca-Cola, you're looking at Pepsi. You have to look at the calories, you have to look at the sugar intake in those. The best thing about Holy Energy, you don't have to look at that. It's 100% sugar-free. You can have these on what feels like a cheat day, but in reality, they can be part of your everyday diet. What I've been sent here is the Holy Energy. I've been given the Holy Milkshake, and oh my word, I've been back a day and I've already got through 4 of these sachets. They are that good. I've been given the Holy Hydration and the Holy Iced Tea. Whatever your needs are, Holy Energy caters, and the best thing about this is I can set you up with some incredible deals on this. Looking at it now, you can use the code WXM5 for £5 discount on your first order with a minimum spend of £14.99. So if you go onto their website, see something you like, if it's £15, that immediately gets £5 off it. You can buy this in the UK, US, any country you want to buy it from, it'll be there. And you can also use the code WXM for 10% off if you're an existing member of Holy. So I've got you some massive deals on this one, and if you would like to support me and the channel further, then you know where to go. Holy Energy, they've been incredible with me. They've seen the ambitions that I do have on the channel. They love the community that I have built up here, and they're the type of people that they really do want to work with. So it's a partnership that goes hand in hand, and it's one that I'm very proud of myself for helping make it happen. And most importantly, you guys at home watching this, watching the videos over the past couple of years, I've dreamt of moments like this. They've got 2 million plus happy customers, 4.6 rating out of 5. This is the place to go for your better alternative drinks. Take a look at the first link in the description down below. It'll be on screen as well. Take a look if you would like to buy anything on there, because it is absolutely incredible. If I was to give my personal recommendation, you can get sachets of milkshakes, and considering they're 100% sugar free, they are a game changer, and I can guarantee at the end of the week I'll have got through the rest of this packet. If we're looking at some of the flavours in here, you've got vanilla, you've got banana, hazelnut, caramel, strawberry. My personal preference is hazelnut. If you love Nutella, you'll love the hazelnut flavour. It's a Nutella milkshake. It's the first link in the description down below. I've set you up with a couple of deals. All I need to do, give it a quick shake, put it in 300 millilitres of milk, and just absolutely enjoy it, because these are incredible. I could drink that forever. Forget all of these transfer rumour videos, the 20-30 videos I've made over the past year or so. I finally get to talk to you about an official signing at Wrexham Football Club. We're talking about Ben Whiteman today. We're going to be talking about how Wrexham Football Club have poached a captain from a fellow Championship side. And finally, of course, I'm back on the channel. I've been away for about 8 or 9 days. We've seen the signing of Danny Imre, which sort of came out of nowhere, which I'm sure a lot of fans are happy about. We'll get talking on that in a video to come in the next couple of days. But today we're talking about our second signing of the summer. It's been confirmed 30-year-old defensive midfielder Ben Whiteman is signed for a fee in the region of around £2.35 million, potentially rising to £3 million. That is going to include possibly cut bonuses, promotion bonuses, appearance bonuses, all that jazz. But at the minute, the base fee for Whiteman is £2.35 million, and Wrexham are yet again showing our strength in the transfer market by signing another Championship captain, following the theme of Zach Viner back in January. So before we get going in today's video, if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content, of course, we're back on the channel. I've had my breakaway, I've had my holiday, but we're back on the hard work now. We're back on the graft, talking everything about Wrexham Football Club as we approach the final few weeks until the start of the Championship season. So if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content, make sure to subscribe. It's absolutely free to do so. We're on the road to 29,000 subscribers. I think at the time of recording, we're like 140 away, so any support is massively appreciated. And without further ado, let's get taking a look at a bit of a profile on our new midfielder. So Whiteman is a name that I think a lot of general EFL fans will know about, of course, from the 10 seasons that he has spent in the EFL, most specifically for Doncaster Rovers in League One and in the Championship for Preston North End. And I think, of course, across those 10 seasons, he's been one of those players that, you know, you can rely on every single week to put in a 7 out of 10 performance in, and of course, like I've just said, he'll be well known for his time at Preston North End, where he was an influential figure in the middle of the park, a consistent performer for the Lily Whites, as he featured in over 225 appearances across his 5-year spell at the club. So he was a consistent performer for them, and I think the way how he did leave the club in the past couple of days or so has really tinted sort of the way how he did play for Preston, the role model that he was for the other players, the experience that he did bring in the middle of the park, and I think they'll be disappointed because of how well he has done for the club previously and the way how he conducted himself in sort of this saga towards Wrexham and signing for the club. So away from his conduct off the pitch, I think on the pitch he was a really good player for them, like I said, one that you could rely on week in, week out, and ahead of the 24-25 season he was appointed club captain at Preston following a number of influential performances in the middle of the park for Preston, and the attributes that did cause him to become club captain of the club. You are looking at the consistency when playing in midfield, and most importantly I think something that will massively benefit off when we do sign Ben Whiteman is his leadership qualities that he does bring, and I think they were heavily valued amongst the camp at Preston North End over the past 5 or 6 years. Now, if you are looking at Wrexham in terms of the squad wise, we are heavily stacked with players that are more than capable of being captain material. We've got Ben Whiteman joining up with the group, we've got Dom Hyam, Josh Windass, Matty James, all players that have captained the club last season, all players that are vastly experienced in the Championship, that can take the team by the scruff of the neck, can really get the best out of the 10 other players that they're playing with in this squad. And I even think the likes of Max Cleworth, Callum Doyle, the younger players that have shown real good leadership qualities when playing. Do I think Wrexham Football Club lack leaders in this squad going into next season? No, but I'm certainly not complaining about another one being embedded into the squad as we go into the final few weeks of pre-season. I think it's a massive coup. It's a massive coup bringing a player in that knows this league inside out, 5 or 6 years played in this division. He was a player that could play at least 30 games per season, has a lot of experience, knows this league of course against the opposition that he is playing against. So adding a player with that experience I think is only going to benefit us off the pitch and of course on the pitch when he is in that midfield three. So what can we expect from Ben Whiteman? Now I think Whiteman is going to be Phil Parkinson's bread and butter in terms of what he wants from a midfielder in this Wrexham setup. He is going to be that direct rival to Matty James in the middle of the park. We've seen Matty James, he is that player that just keeps the play ticking in midfield, loves those passes, loves those sideways passes out to the wing backs, those balls over the top, and I think we're going to get a carbon copy of that with Ben Whiteman. Of course you could make a lot of comparisons between the two in terms of experience, in terms of their style of play, sort of that deep line midfielder, has that slight creative side to him that can play those balls out to the channel, can thread it between the lines, and I think he's a player that you can guarantee will hold the structure well, and ultimately, like I said at the start of the video, one that can put in a 7 out of 10 performance week in, week out. Do I think Whiteman is coming into this Wrexham team and will immediately become a starter? I don't think so, and I think that's going to intrigue a lot of fans out there and sort of raise questions as to why Wrexham are bringing in another central defensive midfielder when we are stacked there at the minute. We've got the likes of Matty James, George Dobson, obviously Whiteman coming into the picture, Ben Sheaf, Zach Vine has played there, so we have a lot of options that can play that defensive role and can play that flat central midfield role, which does make me raise the question as to whether which one of those players is going to be happy sitting on the bench week in, week out, because all of those players are more than capable of starting for a Championship side for 46 out of 46 games of the season. Do I think Wrexham are going to possibly sell one of those options? Potentially. Do I think Ben Whiteman has been brought in to be a long-term cover to Matty James as we go into this Championship season? I don't think so, because Matty James I think is 34-35. Ben Whiteman is no young player, he's 30 years old, so it's not a long-term solution when Matty James's legs do go and when he does move on from the club. So I think it is going to be interesting. Of course, we've heard whispers of George Dobson potentially going to League One side Sheffield Wednesday, but on that sense I really can't see that one happening, because we saw George Dobson end of February signed a new contract, and he signed a new contract for a reason. He was incredible in the middle of the park for us. He was an influential figure last season for Wrexham, but you have to raise the question, is Phil Parkinson slightly on edge over his erratic behaviour on the pitch? Is he not too comfortable with George Dobson playing week in, week out for us in that midfield? And that could possibly be the reason why he's brought Ben Whiteman in, because he's got that Championship experience, that Championship pedigree to calm things down and just to keep the structure well and add that Championship quality to a Championship team in the Championship. So I do think it is going to be interesting, because I think in terms of quality, I wouldn't say Ben Whiteman is up there for being one of the best in the league, hence why there's been no clubs in for him at this stage of the transfer window. And that's not me saying he's completely god-awful and Wrexham have splashed £2.5 million just for the sake of it, but I think if you do put Ben Whiteman in a team where he's surrounded by good players in that midfield, whether he is playing in that pivot with Ben Sheaf, with Matty James, with Dobson, I think they're going to get the best out of him, and I think it is going to be impossible for Ben Whiteman to look out of place in this Wrexham midfield, and he's going to be required to perform well when he does play in that midfield, because we have high demands for Wrexham. We have high demands going into this season. We want to be up there. We want to be in the top two. We want to be in the playoffs next season. So Whiteman coming into the squad, Phil Parkinson obviously believes that he's going to be a strong addition and will add that quality to the midfield three, like I've said. So it is going to be interesting. Do I think he's going to be a signing that is going to set the league alight? No. Do I think he's possibly going to be one that Wrexham fans will look at this now and think, did we really need Ben Whiteman? Did we really need another midfielder? No, but as time goes on this season, I think we're going to appreciate him because he can just offer that stability and that good performances week in, week out. So overall, I think it's a tidy addition. I think it's a strategical addition going into this season. But one thing I would like to touch on is the way in which this transfer happened, and with this signing, it came a lot of noise, specifically from the Preston North End manager Paul Heckingbottom, from Ben Whiteman's camp, and of course that's had a lot of strain on Wrexham and a lot of hatred towards Wrexham in terms of how we've dealt with this transfer. And I think it is important to know how Ben Whiteman conducted himself in this situation when Wrexham did show interest in him, and it's so evident that Paul Heckingbottom was not happy in the slightest with Whiteman's attitude. Obviously he is a Wrexham player now, and it looks as if he was so keen to get the deal done and wants to be in the camp at Wrexham, which we of course want. We want players that are going to be signing for Wrexham, that are going to be hungry to achieve us. But Paul Heckingbottom, the Preston manager, did say in an interview that Ben Whiteman crossed the line and he put himself in a really sticky situation. So whether it's an issue in the long run in terms of his attitude, of course we've seen Phil Parkinson with his dickhead test that he does have when he's bringing players into the club. Obviously he's past that because we've seen him have his medical and we've seen him sign for the club, so he obviously wants to be in this Wrexham camp. But is there going to be some disruption possibly going forward with Whiteman's attitude and his behaviour in certain situations? I really doubt it. I doubt it because we've seen a similar situation with Ben Tozer when we signed him in 2021. He was pushing for that move away from Cheltenham Town and we saw how that signing did go down. So I don't think we'll have any issues at all. Of course he's our player now. We've rattled a few Preston North End fans, and if I was Ben Whiteman, I would be wanting to leave Preston as well, because it's a club with no ambition, with no wanting to go even further and push up the table, no ambition for them to go in the transfer window and recruit heavily. But it's an ambitious project here at Wrexham, and Ben Whiteman is now part of it. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the signing of Ben Whiteman. Are you happy with it? Do you think it was a must for Wrexham? In my opinion, I still think we do need a couple of signings here and there. I would like to see us bring in potentially 2 new strikers into the mix. I do think we should see another wing-back come into this side, possibly a goalkeeper as well, with the situation between Okonkwo and whether he's going to stay at the club. So I think it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks, but Ben Whiteman is the second signing through the door at Wrexham Football Club.